Italy and Germany have very similar energy mixes. So they use a lot of gas for the industry. Italy uses more gas for power. Germany was relying more on coal and nuclear. So Italy is a little more vulnerable from a power point of view. But when we talk about what's happening in the markets, we really need to consider it's a European market. There is no boundaries for gas. Gas moves freely across Europe. So it's unfair to say that if there's a crisis in Germany, it won't be felt in France, in the Netherlands, in the UK. It's an integrated market. So unless people are thinking of closing the borders of gas, which I haven't heard anyone say, we should really think about this as a European gas crisis that can only be addressed with European solutions, with price caps, with other measures that are being asked, which now need to be urgently implemented. That's my first point. The second point is that we really need to work now before the winter comes on solidarity mechanisms, because we cannot have consumers and households freeze in one country and factories open in another country. We really need to agree as soon as possible that households and retail consumers come first and need to be so solidarized so that we have that safety net in place before the winter comes.
It's interesting you say that on a morning when we just got news from the UK energy regulator that consumers are actually going to be bearing the brunt of these elevated prices as they raise the price cap for energy here in the United Kingdom. Are you seeing any signs at the European level, and I'm sorry to switch gears, but at the European level that we will see unified action? At the moment, governments really do seem to be going about policymaking on their own, very different approaches to how to manage these increased costs.
Yeah, I think the UK will find itself very vulnerable outside of the EU if there's no concentrated effort. The UK does not have gas storage. So let's first talk about supply, because price now is the issue because supply is there. But when you run the risk of not having gas, that's a much bigger issue than how much you pay for it. Because right now in homes, there's no alternative to gas in most of the homes in Europe on how you heat the home and how you survive. So the key point is making sure there's enough gas there for people not to freeze. And that has to come before prices, and that's about storage, and that's about solidarity. When it comes to prices, we're seeing prices at 300 euros per megawatt hour, and the prices in the UK and Germany and Austria and Italy and Spain are more or less the same. And so to deal with prices, we need to deal with a single buyer of gas. It's an extreme measure. We need to cap the price at which gas is traded, not at the retail level, which, as Ofjan was saying before, was helpful, but only on 9%. Now we have to deal with a 200% increase, 500% increase that we've seen, in some cases even 1,000% increase on the wholesale price of gas. So the wholesale price, you can only deal with collective purchasing of LNG and socializing that cost across Europe. Europe is going to spend, at today's prices, something like 800 or 900 billion euros extra for its energy. The way the marginal price works, the last most expensive ship of LNG is driving up the whole market. So we need to bring that market, which is not linked to the ship, back and have a single buyer like they do in China, like they do in other countries, take care of buying that marginal price. So it's not transferred to the whole system, but it's left to the few necessary cargoes that we need to buy.